Hey guys, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I haven't been on in a minute, right? How are you ladies doing in the Single Woman of Purpose group? Anyway, so I want to do this while I got a good break. I was so glad I finished with my last client for the day. I was like, yes, let me do a broadcast really quick. I don't know how quick it's going to be, but let me do one now while I have the time. Plus, I miss coming in live and talking with you and chit-chatting with you women and how we inspire each other. We pull on each other when we need support, when we need help, and all of that good stuff. We bounce ideas off of each other, and then we just help each other out. And so you guys know today is Help a Sister Out Tuesday. And I know a lot of you are not going to see this until later because it's kind of early in the day, but that's okay. Well, it's about almost 4 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon here in New York. But let me just introduce who I am, because I usually share this on my YouTube channel under Single Woman of Purpose channel, or I have a women's channel, whatever. What is it called? I have a category in my YouTube channel that is dedicated to single women. So that will be in the playlist, one of my playlists. So I am Cheryl Howard. I am an inspiration and transformation strategist. I am a certified life purpose coach and a mental health professional by day, and an entrepreneur and a mom. Even though my daughter is grown now, but I'm still a proud mom. So today I posted in the group about how it's better to have a man that's good for you rather than good to you. Now, we can argue that can mean the same thing depending on your perspective and what your definition is, which is true. Because if he's good for you, then you feel he'll be good to you as well. But sometimes there's a difference with some people, when it comes to that, because they can have somebody being good to you, meaning they may do things for you, give you things, treat you, spoil you. But what is good for you? It's almost like when you think of the parental relationship. Someone who's good for you also looks out for you. They also bring accountability to you. They push you to be great, even when it hurts and it doesn't always feel good, but that's good for you. It's like a parent, right? We discipline our kids because we know what's best for them, and it doesn't always feel good, but in the long run, it is better for us. And then we look back and say, wow, I'm so glad that my parents taught me structure and discipline and priorities and organization and self-care, so that way you can be good for yourself and you can be good to others as well. And so I think that's very important for us to have in a partner, someone who is good for us, because we don't always make the right decision. None of us, even the male, even our significant other or our husbands, they don't always make the best decisions, or sometimes they say how you said 2 brains or 2 heads are better than one. Sometimes you could find yourself in a place in a fog, and you need that other partner to kind of help you figure things out, to intercede for you. And we need to think about those things before we even step into marriage. And these are the things, we are grown women now, so we supposed to learn better and do better. And these are the things we need to teach the younger generation as well. Some of us are still learning, but this is what it is when we help each other out. We give each other wisdom and tools and our experiences, because some of us never had that experiences. Some of us come from environments we don't even have a foundation or blueprint of what a healthy relationship even looks like. But it's so great when you can find yourself in a company of women, or just a company of men and women, diverse group of people who do. We're forever learning, and I think we need to always keep that mindset that we're forever learning. So I want to connect sisterhood accountability with the topic, the post that I put up about having a man that is good for you. And the reason why I want to put the two together is because, we have friends and we have family members who know us really well. And some of us even give them permission to keep us accountable. But sometimes our emotions, our infatuations, our obsessions get in the way. We may not be able to see clearly. We allow our emotions to dictate our actions. We miss the red flags, or we ignore the red flags. We ignore the signs. We ignore the stop sign. And this is why it is important to have accountability, because maybe right now, because of your feelings, you may have blinders up, and they get in the way of you seeing the truth. And that's also a trick of the enemy, and it comes to bewilder you and to bewitch you. And so a person who's normally, you may know a person who's been level-headed for a long time, but something happened in their life. Sometimes we go through things that kind of make us feel vulnerable, or it could be a state of feeling lonely, or you're just going through a transition and you feel like you want to be with somebody. That's just one example. And sometimes what happens is we let our guard down, and the wrong somebody comes along, and he looks like a good spirited person, they doing things to you, right? They do things for you and to you, or giving things to you, but is he good for you? And so sometimes that becomes blurred, because at the moment, at the temporary situation, it feels good. There's an instant feeling of gratification, but it doesn't mean he's best for you in the long run. That's why it's very important to have a vision. Without a vision, people perish, the word of God tells us. So if you don't have a vision, if you don't have goals, personal goals set for yourself, if you don't have, I tell people who are married, if you don't have a marriage goal, or if you engage, if you need a focus, you need a goal. What is the ministry in that relationship? What is the focus in that relationship? Where are you going? Are you complementing one another? Again, these are the questions we need to ask ourselves. We need to ask the person that we're with, the person we want to spend the rest of our life with. Even if you're newly married, you need to investigate these things. You need to sit down and talk about these things. There's no blueprint. There's no, you find yourself kind of sometimes all over the place, and we're just going to figure this thing out. Now, there's some things you will figure out, because it's really an on-the-job training experience, like parenting. You may not know everything about parenting, and you don't know how you're going to respond to different things until you actually have children. And then some things you're going to learn. We learn, and then we also help other people to learn and grow as well. We teach them things from our experience again. But going back to the sisterhood, it's so important, because again, a lot of times we are driven by our emotions. Not all of the time, but sometimes we are. And it is important to even know that, to be self-aware of that, because we make wrong decisions sometimes based out of our desire, loneliness, feelings of infatuation, like I said, and then the blinders come up, and so our flesh begins to supersede the wisdom, knowing what's better, what's good for you. But now, like I said, it's blurred. So now you're operating in the flesh, and then what happens when we do that? We start rationalizing our behaviors. When we know better, we make excuses. We push away our sister girlfriends. We push away family members, because we want to do what we want to do. And then we want to bring God with us. That's the thing I noticed today. People want to do their stuff and then want God to be in the midst. So you want God to actually bless the mess. You want God to, let me call it what it is. You're living out of order, but you want God to bless the disobedience. Doesn't work that way. You can't expect God to be in the midst of something that's out of order. You acting in disobedience right now. You in a certain place where you need to just get back in his presence. You need to get your life. We may all experience those moments, but you can't expect, God is not, he can't do that. He's not an author of confusion. He is a righteous God. He's a loving and a merciful and a gracious God, but he's an upright God. So there's nothing evil in him. Understand? So you can't expect him. But I know like I said, if you in that state where you just kind of in that place right now, sometimes you forget that God ain't with this. He loves you. He's still there. All you got to do is say, God, okay, I'm doing it your way. He's right there. No condemnation. He's right there. Anyway, so back into, operating in the mind and the flesh. And then what happens is, I notice a lot of people, sometimes when you with somebody who's not good for you, a lot of times, say, I'm giving an example of a person two people who come together, say we want to get married. Most of the time, if you stay in that state of being driven by your flesh and your emotions and your mind, before you even seek a counselor or a marriage counselor or a pastor or a marital coach, your mind is usually made up, right? But you just want to go consult someone to kind of help you. Maybe you can feel, you can get some nuggets here and there, but sometimes you never expect the person who's mentoring you, who's counseling you, who's coaching you, to also point out the red flags. and the stop signs or the yield signs. You don't expect that because you want everybody to be in agreement with you. Like I said, sometimes you want to be God in agreement with your stuff, and it doesn't work that way. And so a lot of times, and I don't know, a lot of us hear this happen all the time, and the red flags are so clear, and then people have the nerve to get upset with their pastor or clergy, whoever it is who's mentoring them or preparing them or who's marrying them, to be in opposition or in disagreement with it, because your flesh and mind is made up. And so you're like looking at that person as if something wrong with them, and because you got the blinders on right now, so you don't want to hear anything contrary to how you feel. That's why we can't always operate in our feelings, because they're not always your feelings may be valid, but for the wrong things. Like, you may really feel a certain way about something, but that something may not be valid, if you got what I'm saying. Like, you feel something for this man, but he's really not good for you. You just kind of lost right now, or you're confused, or you're in denial. Oh my God, denial is something else, man. They have people just out there lost somewhere for a moment. And so you don't want to hear anything, because your mind has said, oh no, I'm going to be with this person. That's it. So you block out wisdom. It's like I tell a lot of my clients when I'm doing anger management and emotional management. And I always tell them, I said, when you at a point where you're always hypervigilant, you're always angry, and you're always on alert, and your nerves are always shot, and you're always just edgy, you can't think straight. Your thinking and thoughts are distorted. So you're not clear. It's hard for you to even reason and make wise decisions, because it affects your brain, it affects your nervous system. And so I try to give them that awareness and that knowledge, so that way they can become more conscious of their decisions, of their thoughts. Always teach us Socratic thinking. Challenge your thoughts, challenge your feelings. Why am I feeling this? Maybe it's something from the past. Maybe it's something recently that happened to you. Maybe you're in a situation that's temporary, and you need to really examine that. Is this the right choice for me? Because it may feel like it is now, but not moving forward. Can he accommodate me forward? And can I accommodate him? Are we good for each other? Can we help each other live in our purpose? Can we build one another up? Is he, for those of you women who are women of God and believe in God and who are Christian, can he be someone I can follow, I can submit to? Because personally, I can't submit to anyone who's out of order. They don't know God. If they're going to cause me to deter, or if I see signs of this person is kind of taking me away from I'm allowing this person, let's correct that, because I'm in that state right now of moving me away from my friends and my family, those who mean a lot to me, those who poured into my life, those who helped build me up and brought me to this place, my village people. If I find myself getting lost in him and he becomes my whole world, that is not healthy. That is a symptom you need to pay attention to, because a good man is not going to do that unless you got dysfunctional friends and family members, and they causing you to be sick and stressed and full of trauma. That's a whole different story. He'll be the person maybe God has sent you to help kind of rescue you, in a sense, out of a situation. Because sometimes, God knows who we need. He knows what we need before we even ask him. And so unless it's that situation, it's unhealthy. So you have to know the signs. You have to know the red flag. That's why it's so important for us to build our daughters up and the next young generation of women, so they can have more wisdom at an earlier age, so they can know what to look for. Because a lot of us didn't have father figures. A lot of them don't have the father figures to teach them how to identify a good man, how to identify husband material. And I actually have on my list of broadcasts, one of the things I want to talk about is how to identify a good husband, the character of a good husband. And even though I'm touching on some of it now, I really want to focus on that in another talk that we have. And so our sisterhood may be that resource. Maybe the people we need to consult, we need to consider, because our true friends and family members, they know us best for us as well. If they really know you and they're plugged into you, if you have that type of friendship, if you have allowed people, because sometimes we say, well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. But I was going to say, sometimes we say we want sisterhood and we want accountability, but do we really want it? It sounds real good, right? But when it comes down to things, when things are happening, once you allow your flesh and mind to take over, you push that sisterhood stuff away, honey. You like, I got him right now. And we grew up in a society, and I remember hearing this when I was young. People will argue over if you got a man or not. It's like there was women or girls or young women who will identify them or value themselves based on having a man in a relationship. In other words, they didn't feel themselves, they didn't have self-worth or self-value being a single person. It is only when they were with a man they felt valuable. Something's wrong with that. You got to love yourself before that. You got to learn to love yourself. Understand how beautiful and sacred and wonderful you are, how gifted and talented and all of that you are as a human being. You don't allow a man to do that. So when that man leaves, then you're nothing? What is that? So that's idolatry, okay? Just for some of you who don't know, because you worship that person like they became your God. I depend on God to tell me who I am, and I validate myself because of the God that is in me, but not by my husband when I was married, or by being with a man. So we have to get away from that. So I'm trying to help a sister out today. So what happens when all of the above that I mentioned? You know, some of us, I find ourselves in these situations. We're used to being, you know how you drive and you miss the red lights. It's like violation. You constantly get violations for driving past the red lights. Who wants to live that life? That is not healthy. So you constantly get violations. You constantly get tickets. And you're so familiar with it. That's the only way you think you're functioning, and you're not functioning, but you accept it as your life. Don't accept that. You deserve better. You deserve more. But you have to know that for yourself. And I always say when you do that, then you attract those right kind of guys. And then God give you wisdom and discernment to choose and decide, okay, well, this person is good for me. This person is not. And it's not, like I said, I said in another broadcast, it's not that the person is bad or evil, but you'll be able to know if the person is good for you or not. Because I believe God, even though I believe there's a miraculous sometimes situation where God bring people together for certain purposes. And I also believe that God give us the ability to choose, if you want to choose your life partner, like, because you both are in him. I don't believe everything is some, God bring it together and you just wait until. I don't believe that. I believe that two mature people in God knows, who they want to be with. And if both people are godly people, they love each other, they got similar goals and values, dreams, they complement each other, all the stuff that I mentioned before, I believe with prayer and you go to God and God is like, hey, because God ordained family. He wants us to be together. So everything, I don't believe is going to be some spiritual connection. I believe that there's going to be spiritual connection anyway, even if you choose to say, I decide to be with this person. If God is the third strand, like Ecclesiastes teaches, God is in the midst, God is going to be there. God is going to bless it. Favor is going to come to that household because two people decided to do life together in God. And so I think that's so wonderful. We need to know that, because some people just sitting out, I'm just going to wait till the Lord bring me my husband. Or if you're a man, I'm just going to wait till the Lord brings me my wife. Well, I'm not going to go into it now, but you have to be present. You have to socialize. You have to mingle somewhere to meet somebody, because they all, you can't expect them to knock on your door. That's very rare that your future spouse is just going to appear. You know what I'm saying? You got to be somewhere. You got to be on that threshing floor. You know what I'm saying? Like Ruth was when Naomi, her mother-in-law, gave her advice that when you go down to the threshing floor. She even told her, so Boaz can see you, and then let God take it from there. So she had to be visible, but that's a whole nother broadcast, right? But so you got to get out of the cycle of getting violations, because you keep going past the red lights, the stop signs. You don't even stop at the stop sign. Maybe it's not a no, but maybe you need to pause. Maybe you need to yield. Maybe you need to stop for a moment. Maybe there's some work that needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times when you do that over and over again, it's self-infliction. It's self-inflicted cycles that you embrace instead of embracing accountability, because you don't want to hear anything. You don't want anybody to say anything. You're just going to do you. And I've heard women say, and men, they see the red lights, they see the stop signs, but they're just going to ride this thing out. Familiar with dysfunction, familiar with self-infliction, familiar with traumatic relationships. That's what it is. You're used to that. You used to self-infliction. You used to some type of abuse, whether it's emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. You're used to it. So you're like, well, I'm just going to ride this out and see what happens. Anybody got time for that? We are older. I mean, you have, like I said, self-love is a big thing. The highest form of love is forgiveness. Forgiveness for past things that happened to you. Forgiveness for people. But then forgiving yourself. No longer walking in self-condemnation, the feeling of low worth, no self-esteem or low self-esteem. No. We got to know who we are. We got to see ourselves through God's eyes, because he don't look at none of that stuff when we come to him. Not at all. And so you need to embrace that so you can get out of that self-infliction cycle. But do we really want to embrace accountability from our sisterhood? I do. Let me tell you, I always share this. I've gave my close friends, my inner circle, permission to keep me accountable. I don't care if I meet somebody. If they feel I'm in a situation that can be very tempting and cause me to fall into sexual sin or cause me to fall in something just out of order, doing something that's out of my character and out of the will of God for me, I need them to check on me. Now, it's up to me to listen and when God sends help, because God always make a way of escape if you're open to it. Once you close yourself off, that's when people end up in having a reprobated mind. They just out there on their own. They don't want to hear. God is like, no. They don't want to hear nothing. They don't even hear God's voice clear anymore. It becomes more blurry. It becomes like the teacher in the Peanut Gang when they would go to school and the teacher's like, wah, 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 wah. You don't even hear God anymore because you pushed him aside. Now, he'll still be there when you decide, when you come back to yourself, like the prodigal son who found himself eating with the pigs and eating the stuff that they was eating because he wanted to take his inheritance early. He fought and could have forfeited his blessing. But the wonderful example in that is that when he came back home and came back to himself, his father was still there and opened him with open arms and put on a big celebration because his son was back home. And that is a reflection of God's love. However, we grow in wisdom so that way we don't have to necessarily find ourselves in these situations. This is what it means to, after a while, start eating the meat. And after a while, when you raise a child, of course, a baby and an infant, they grow on milk. But after a while, they start eating food, solid food. And so we got to get off the milk. I believe it was Paul in the Bible that said, you ought to be teachers by now. Design a sincere, the word of God, the meat of the word. You're still milking on the bottle. You're not learning. You're not growing. And so we gotta get out of that. When we're children, we do childish things. When we're an adult, we put away childish things. And so we have to take all of that in our life and apply it to every area of our life, especially relationships. So again, do we really want that accountability? Do we really want our sisters and brothers, because some of us have brothers in our inner circle too, to check on us? Those who care about our well-being. Those of us who care about the whole person that we are. Not just our emotions, but our spirit, our mind, our soul, our heart, everything. They care about us all over. It's not about an instantaneous situation and a feeling that may scar you for the rest of your life. That's unnecessary. And it may bring on unnecessary pain. So I'm trying to help somebody today. Please take heed. Because I know this can save somebody's life if they listen. Somebody. Let me tell you something. I know accountability sometimes, it may sting a little bit. Yes, it's like when we get disciplined from our parents. Or it's like when God checks us to keep us accountable. Oh, because you want to do your thing, and the Holy Spirit, if you still can hear the Holy Spirit, if you don't have a reprobate mind and you're not out there too far, hear him or feel God pulling your coattail. You feel the Holy Spirit drawing you and calling you and pulling you and weaning you back in and like, come on, baby girl. Come on, son. Come on now. Let's get back. Making that way of escape for us. That hurts sometimes because that's that struggle. Paul even said, evil is always present. So there's always a struggle, but you don't have to constantly be in a situation where the struggle or you being a slave to that evil side or that worldly side. You don't have to succumb to the temptation of it every time. Yeah, we fall down and we get back up, but all the time, You have to be, you allow God to strengthen you in that area where you'll be an overcomer, where you'll be more than a conqueror in that area. So you can be an example. Some of us, look, if we're parents, we have to be examples to our children. We are their first teachers. They watch how we react, how we respond to things, how we initiate things, how we talk, how we reason. I'm telling you, they pay a close attention, and they will point out stuff when they get older. And so you want to always plant seeds, righteous seeds, you know, doing the right thing. Not all, and then also being able to say, oh, mom, dad, I made a mistake, son, or made a mistake, daughter. I shouldn't have did that. That was bad. And teach them about the consequences when you make mistakes. Teach them that you're human and you're not a perfect parent. But they shouldn't always see you making bad choices all the time. See, conscious parenting, again, you're always thinking about how you're affecting the next generation. You're always thinking about how you affect your children, what they see. You have to think about what type of adults you want them to be. It's forward thinking. So parents, we have to do this. In our relationships, we have to do this. What is your vision for your marriage? And what is his vision for marriage? Because the two may be way off. Okay? In a negative sense. Now, we can have differences, but something needs to be aligned together. Somewhere we need to be in agreement. How can two walk together unless they agree? Like, example, two people have to believe that maybe marriage is sacred by God, or that marriage is something that two partners work together 100% from both partners. That there should be healthy communication. That there should be grace in our relationship, because I'm writing a book about that, the grace approach. I don't want to give away too much now, but it's using that approach to marriage, to relationships, having that grace for each other. You know, that time where we can be forgiving to one another, hear each other out, learn and grow together, understand your partner from their view, having empathy, of course, understanding what they've been through, why they feel the way they do. You have to have grace and patience to even do that. If you have your own mindset and you see, marriage is not, you're not single anymore when you get married. The two shall become one. That's a whole nother teaching. I'm not going to get into that right now. But that's the outlook for your relationship, like where you want it to go. Where do you see the relationship? Is it something that is going to be long term? And I'm talking to grown people. I'm not talking to young people just out of high school, college, and you're figuring things out. And you might meet a couple of people. You might be in a couple of relationships, you know, until you meet that individual that you want to partner with for life. But I'm talking to grown folk. And we don't have a whole lot of time. I'm not even talking about definite like that. I'm just saying we don't have time to play around and shortchange ourselves. And if we've done that, we don't need to do it anymore. So yes, accountability, it stings. It may hurt, but it's good for us. And we want to be with the person that's good for us. Thank God. I thank God for keeping me and saving me for some stuff. Because I look back, I was sharing this with my daughter yesterday, and I'm going to end. We was talking about relationships. And I was saying to her that a lot of times God will protect and keep us from things we didn't even know we was going to get into. And we wonder why maybe some things were blocked. Some relationship was blocked. And because the word of God tells us that the righteous man's steps are ordered by him. The steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. Because we're seeking him. Or the righteous of God will seek God. Will consult God. You know, we'll pray. We'll ask God for guidance. The Holy Spirit that lives, that dwells in us, leads and guides us into all truth. God don't want us to be bewildered. He don't want us to be a hoodwink, bamboozled, run amok. He don't want us to be confused at all. You know, he wants us to have wisdom. All of that. So I was sharing with her how, let me get back to my point, how he protects and how he keeps us. I said, and sometimes when we find ourselves dealing with, like I said, the other states of being lonely and, you know, and desperate and all this stuff because you're going through something, or maybe, you know, you've been like me. I've been single for a while now since my divorce years ago. But I love myself enough to not allow someone to come and hurt me and violate me, knowingly doing that. Some things you don't have to, maybe down the line you don't even know. But I'm talking about when you see the red flags and you see the stop sign or you see the yield signs, and I don't take heed to that. You just inflict more stuff on you. But I was saying sometimes women can trick themselves when they're in that state of loneliness and they start rationalizing stuff again, and they start thinking about people they might have met, and you wonder, maybe I should have Give them another chance. I'm talking about when you saw clear red flags that the person was not good for you at all. It was totally negative. It was not good. But because of you feel lonely, because whatever emotions or mood you're feeling at the time, you kind of almost lie to yourself without knowing, like, maybe I should have just stuck with that person, knowing that you would have been miserable. You would have been miserable. Why? Just to say that you have somebody? That doesn't bring happiness at all. And so you start lying, you start settling, you find yourself being a different person. You can't even identify yourself anymore. Your character, everything, the true person of who you are doesn't show anymore. It's like you buried that person because you have given this person power and influence over your whole being, over your life, like a god. That's the stuff I want to stop. So that's it today. But I just wanted to help somebody who is in a situation or who knows somebody in that situation. Let them see this video. I'm going to upload it to YouTube. I'm going to repost that video, the YouTube channel, the clip in this group so you can share it with someone, because I'm telling you, this is something we hear all the time, and it happens, and it's going to continue to happen. But look, this is a village of sisterhood. And then we have to be that for people, other people that we're around, whether it's biological family, kin, folk, right? Or our friends, our neighbors, whoever, our children, our nieces, whoever, nephews. This is for men too. Use the same, use what I've given today or what I shared today for you men as well who watch this video when it comes to women. Because we go through the same type of situations. Men find themselves, being traumatized or going through things, having bad relationships, not having a father figure to teach you how to be a good man or teach you what a good woman looks like or what a good woman is. Some of you might not have had mothers who were the best examples, or some of you was never raised with your mother. It's just so many situations that we come from. So we have to help each other. So this is my way of helping whoever's listening, even though this is Help a Sister Out Tuesdays in my Single Women of Purpose group on Facebook. For those of you women who are single and you want to be a part of the group where we build each other up, we share a lot of things, we give each other strategies and tools. Sometimes I have other leaders come in and share things, or leaders that's within a group, or just, it don't have to be a leader, just us women who have some wisdom and been through some things, or we can help each other out. Or we could be some women in a group who could be in similar situations, and they need that other person to find, it's strong. When in unity there's strength. And so that's like the premise of the group as well. And so if you would like to join that, go to bit.ly/ Single Women of Purpose. So that is bit.ly/ Single Women of Purpose. And that's a group on Facebook. And then just fill out those 3 questionnaires I asked. Just want to make sure the group is a good match for you. Sometimes people just want to be part of a group, but if there's nothing in there that's really for you, or you relate to, or you want to be a part of, then please don't join. Because I want it to be an active group, an interactive group, where we're sharing and we're responding and we're commenting and we're discussing things. We're pouring into each other. I don't want it to be a group that's just... And I don't want to be doing all of the talking all the time, all of the sharing. I give opportunities for people to come on live if they want to and have discussion, all kinds of stuff, or ask questions. And we all help each other. Even though I started the group, I may be the leader of the group, meaning I started it, but it doesn't mean I'm the all and be all. No, that is not it. I may facilitate things, I may approve things or disapprove whatever, because, you got to be careful, because there's some folks, you should see the folks that try to join a group that I know mean no good at all. Some men I have many men try to join a group. They think it's like a group where they hook up with women. I'm looking for a wife, I'm so sorry. This is not that type of group. This is not that type of organization or whatever club you're looking for. You need a dating site. This is not one of those. Some of us are trying to prepare ourselves to be that person you're looking for. Some of us are. We're just doing what we have to do in the meantime until that right connection and the man that's good for us comes along, right? So anyway, that is enough for today. If you want to know more about me, go to my website, CherylYHoward.com. That's Cheryl with a C, YHoward.com. And also follow my blog and my other site, Get Y Life Back. It stands for getyourlifeback.com, but it's get Y, the letter Y, lifeback.com. If you want to know about me, I am a speaker. Like I said, I'm a certified life purpose coach. I'm a mental health professional. I'm a pastoral counselor, and that's the most of what I do. So I hope this was so good for somebody, inspiring, enlightening for someone. That's what it's all about today. Thank you so much. Until we meet again, you be blessed.